Welcome to the change cycle. So this is a game changer, we believe, in small businesses in this era. So I want to give you a little bit of history. I want to start you off with a little bit of history of how this started. So way back in 2013, that's Andy Walter, wrote a book called Get a Grip. It was essentially an amalgamation of all the notes that I'd taken from seminars and workshops and trainings that I'd delivered and been to over 20 years. And what I was trying to do actually was just create a set of notes that I could work from when I first started coaching small businesses. And what I ended up with was a book which I published, which I've sold a number of over the years. The key reason I tell you this is because within the book there was something called the Wheel of Success. Okay, so this is essentially was how I'd developed corporate divisions and businesses over the years. And we're talking about vision, mission, values. We're talking about financials and marketing, sales, operations teams, systems, etc. And this is a very good model and works incredibly well in a big organisation. Now, in around about 2013 or so, I first met Pete. And Pete and I have worked together ever since. And in around 2015 or so, Pete and I started to work together in earnest. We started to deliver workshops, we amalgamated our coaching practices, and we started to build a business for ourselves to deliver more and more value to small businesses. What we came up with between Pete and I, we saw the value in this, but it wasn't quite right. We didn't have it quite right for small businesses. So what we did is we created what we call we called this wheel, which is essentially much more aligned to smaller businesses. So things that you can actually implement. And what we found over the last year or so, what we've discovered, what's become important, is actually this is still too corporate. So in a big corporate, we've got a marketing department, we've got a sales department, we've got operations, we've got finance, we've got admin, we've got HR. The problem with all of those as a structure is that those are individual directors usually on 100,000 a year with a team of people to deliver the marketing, the sales, the operational efficiency, the finance, the admin, the HR. The problem with that, or the challenge if you like, is that although it works incredibly well when you've got the resources to deliver, in a small business, most of the time the owner is also the marketing director, the sales director, the financial guy, the operations director. And you don't have the resources to do it. Unless you've got a spare £1 million sitting around for salaries, you do not have the resources to implement that structure in your small business. Which Pete and I, we kept working away at it. We kept developing and we kept working it. And what we've come up with is what we believe to be the best business framework for small businesses out there. In fact, we believe it's the only thing that works. This is how Pete and I coach businesses from pretty much zero turnover to somewhere in the region of about 5 million, 10 million pounds. Above that, we can start to get some resources in place in order to do that. But this really works from zero to around about 10 million pounds. And what we would say is all of the frameworks, all of our coaching, all businesses, all corporate structures even, start based around measurements, about what they measure. And it's about the clarity of information that you measure within a business gives you the ability to be able to control that business. Without any measures, you cannot control your business. You can't. You don't know what's going on. Feeling like somebody is doing a good job is not as good as knowing with certainty that they are doing a good job, or conversely that they're not doing a good job. Knowing that a marketing campaign, an advertising campaign is working is way better than feeling it's working. That's why measurements are so important. And that's actually one of the things that big corporates really do get right. Okay, so if we're going to measure things, what do we need to be measuring? Well, there's lots of different things, but let's start off with some really basic ones for small businesses. How do we go out there and find customers? In a big corporate, we would have a marketing department, but marketing covers brand, it covers logos, it covers corporate identity, corporate social responsibility. It covers everything. It's just too big for a small business. If you're sub £10 million, what you need to be focusing on is finding customers to sell to, finding customers that are right for you. And we'll cover that during a course at some point. But right now, let's just say that that's what you need to do. The first thing you need to do is know how to find customers for you. Once you've found potential customers, you need to go out there and secure them as your customers. Again, big corporate might call this sales, but a lot of people struggle with the word sales. They're scared of it. Really, all it means is going out there and securing that business from those potential customers to turn them into your customers that you are going to keep. That's the key bit. It's much easier to sell to a customer that you've already sold to before than it is to find new ones all the time. Once you've got customers, though, you need to deliver what you do to that customer. So once you have customers, once you've secured them, you need to deliver what you do. This is customer service. This is about wowing people. This is about being good. And actually, this is an area that most small businesses are really, really good at. And most of them are actually better than big corporates at delivering what they do. But they don't make as much money, which would suggest that it's not always being good at what you do that is the only thing that's going to make you successful. So there's a couple of other things you need to know. There's a couple of other things that go on in a small business, but go on in all businesses really. There's let's call it the day-to-day running of the business. There is the day-to-day running of a business it needs to go on every day. We're talking about the insurances. We're talking about health and safety. We're talking about making sure people get paid. We're talking about the admin and the HR. The day-to-day stuff that has to run a business, it's the van insurance, etc. It's all of that stuff that you need to do in order to get the business just to run, just to go forward. We're not talking about leadership and management here, because that's a whole separate part. Leadership is an interesting term. Actually, I often say leadership is an excuse for not managing people. It's the nice stuff, it's the goals, it's the vision, it's the motivation and the inspiration, which are really, really important. But that's the guiding of your business, is guiding it to progress. The interesting thing is you might not want to grow your business, but you do want it to run more effectively. You do want to make a little bit more profit. You do want it to be smoother. You don't want to work as many hours, etc. Well, what is it that we need to see moving forward? Well, that's where we guide it. So interestingly, guidance is one thing, and management comes from that bit in the center. Management is the control of your business. Management is about the measures. It's about knowing exactly what's going on, and by knowing what's going on, you can decide what it is that you need to do. So in order for things to change, you are going to need to change something. I know that's very obvious when I say it, but that's what the C stands for. Change. What are we going to change? What is it in the business that needs to change? Actually, the reason that measures sit right at the heart of your business is because that tells you what you should change. Rather than, I feel this is what I should change, you can go, I feel this is what I can change or should change. What do the numbers tell me? In what area? What do I need to change? Or at least what do I need to try and change? So once we know what to change, we can choose, well, what are our best options for that? What could we do? If we need to change the way that we find customers, what could we do differently? What are our options? Could we use Facebook marketing? Could we use LinkedIn? Could we use Google Ads? Could we use print advertising? Could we use direct mail? What is it that we could do? Only by doing that can we choose what our best strategy would be. Options basically allow us to choose the right strategies. Strategies is another interesting word. If we were baking a cake, we'd call it a recipe, because that's what a strategy is. It's a way to get repeatable results, which is a part of the plan. Okay, so once we know what needs to change, we've got our options and we've chosen what we think is likely to be the best option to make the progress, the improvement that we want, we can create a plan. I don't mean a 50-page business plan. I simply mean a short plan with a plan of actions, who does what when, in order to move the business forward. Because by having a plan of action, we can take action. Because we know who's going to do what and when it's going to do it. We just need to make sure that happens. It's a big part of what Pete and I do when we're coaching people, is make sure that those actions actually take place. It's a whole other area around accountability. Now, once we've taken action, what we need to do is we need to review that action. Did it work? If it didn't work, what was it that held us back? What could we do differently next time? What can we improve, if anything? And that takes us right back round to change. And that's why it's a cycle. This is why we need to loop around and around and around. Because we keep changing, we keep finding better options, we keep coming up with plans, we keep delivering actions, and over time the business will improve and get better. If you want it to grow, this is how you grow it. If you want it to be more efficient, this is how it becomes more efficient. If you want to make more profit, this is how you make more profit. That, in essence, is the history and the system that we help people with. This whole mastermind group is simply here to help people implement that into their business. I'd like to thank you very much for joining us, and I'd really like to welcome you into the Growth Mastermind group. Looking forward to helping you. Speak soon.